Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to prepare homemade chicharrones. For this recipe, we're going to need about 7 to 8 pounds of pig fat. When picking your meat, you want to pick some that still has a good amount of meat left on it. You also want a good layer of fat and skin. This large package I purchased at Food City, and it's actually labeled as pig fat. You can also find it in any other grocery store that caters to Mexican food. If they don't have it on display, you can ask the butcher for a few pieces. 80% of the time they will have some in the back. As I'm removing it from the packaging, I'm removing any pieces of bone that may still be left on the meat. I'm placing it in a large stock pot, and we're going to take it over to the sink and give it a good rinse. We're going to rinse each piece individually. Once we're done rinsing them, we're going to dump out the water and fill it up with new water. This time we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar, but you can also use regular vinegar. This is not only going to help to disinfect them, but it's also going to neutralize the smell as you prepare them. Chicharrones have a specific smell they give out as you fry them, and this is going to help neutralize it. Allow them to soak in the vinegar water for about 15 to 20 minutes. Before taking them over to the cutting board, dump out the water and rinse each piece individually to remove the vinegar. Using a sharp knife, slice your meat into 3 to 4 inch pieces. Each piece should have a nice layer of skin, fat, and meat just like this one. The pieces that don't have a lot of meat on them, you can leave them out or you can add them to the pot. I like to add them because that's going to render more fat for the chicharrones. And once you're done frying the chicharrones, you can reuse the fat for other dishes. The fat rendered from the chicharrones is very similar to bacon grease. You can reuse it to prepare other dishes like refried beans or any other dishes that require lard. Here we have all the pieces of pork that have meat on them. You can prepare them like this because they do have quite a bit of fat on them. But we're also going to add the extra pieces of fat so we can have that extra grease at the end to reuse for other dishes. If making your chicharrones on the stovetop, I recommend you use a Dutch oven pan or a heavy bottom pan. Before placing it on the stove, mix 1 tablespoon of salt with half a cup of water. Pour the water with the salt over the meat. The water is to help the chicharrones from sticking to the bottom of the pan before the fat is rendered from the chicharrones. Once it begins to heat up, the water is going to simmer down. The chicharrones are going to begin to release a lot of the fat, and the chicharrones are eventually going to fry in the fat released from the pork fat. During the process, you want to give it frequent movement just to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom of the pan and they're cooking evenly. At first, they're going to turn into a pale white color like this. The chicharrones can take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes before they begin to release the fat. At first, the fat rendered from the chicharrones is going to have a cloudy look to it. But once the water simmers down, all you're going to have left is the fat, and it's going to have a more clearer color. The first process could take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes depending on how hot you have your burner set at. Once the water has simmered down, the fat is going to look similar to this. It's going to have a more clearer color. At this point, we're going to turn down the burner to a low to medium heat, and we're going to continue to fry the chicharrones for another 30 to 45 minutes. At this point, it's very important to lower down the heat setting, especially if you're making them indoors or on the stovetop. If the burner is set too hot, the grease will begin to pop. This is why it's very important to set it down to a lower setting. It may take a little bit longer on the frying time, but it's better to avoid having an accident in the kitchen. During the last 30 to 45 minutes of the frying time, continue to give them frequent movement until they have a nice golden brown color. The longer you fry them, the crunchier they will be. Once they reach a nice golden brown color, we're going to prepare our dish to remove the chicharrones. I'm going to place a couple of clean paper towels on the bottom of the dish. This is going to help absorb some of the grease from the chicharrones once we transfer them to the dish. Look at that beautiful golden color in the chicharrones. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove them. If you prefer yours a little bit more crunchy, you can leave them in there for a little bit longer. You can enjoy your chicharrones just like this with a little bit of lime juice and tapatio sauce, or you can use them to prepare so many different dishes. You can prepare them in green chile, red chile, with nopales, or you can even enjoy them on tacos. These are just a few of the recipes that you can prepare with chicharrones. You can also use the leftover grease to prepare other dishes like refried beans or any other dishes that require lard. Once it cools down, it's going to thicken up and it's going to look similar to this. Transfer it to a container and use it as needed. And like my kids say, it's time to chomp. We're going to use the chicharrones to prepare some tacos. We're going to add a few pieces of the chicharrones to a corn tortilla. We're going to top it off with homemade guacamole. You can also top it off with any of your favorite toppings. And to really bring out the flavor, we're going to top it off with Los Altos queso cotija. And of course, a taco is never complete without your favorite salsa. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give me a big thumbs up. Share with your friends and family so they don't miss out on future recipes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video with a different recipe.